nothing that says, okay, I can go this way. So why don't I just go this way? Like playing chicken with a robot. Yeah, but that's actually what I was about Tim.
They're blocking this line.
I'm coming after you, please.
That's lonely.
Yeah. We've had those laser measurements. See, the first one we bought, we have them. See, we won in 2004. We've been 2003.
So 2003, when you first built that first one, that's you put the
okay, now the first robots did not have the LMSs. We could not afford it. We're talking about $5,000 instruments there. Yeah, very expensive. Oh yeah. Those right there were $3,500, so they're a little bit cheaper. But very, very expensive. And what we used was sonars we tore out of video cameras. We took the sonars, because with video cameras you have sonars that actually can tell you the distance and help with your focus.
With the focus, yeah.
Exactly. And so we tore a bunch of them out, 7 or 8 of them, out of these old cameras, put them across a robot, and that's what we used. It was a poor man's robot. Oh yeah. But it worked.
It does.
It wasn't as good as that, but it worked.
But it works.
Yep.
Well, I think what made
And that's, to me, that's the ingenious part, is being able to find things just ordinarily.
Well, when I started out, that was my whole, I told these guys, I said, we don't have a penny. You guys go to, here's the junk. I got a lot of junk there at school. I said, here's my junk room. I can go out and find stuff maybe for you, so I helped them find things. And I said, what do you need? They looked it up. They figured out what they needed. We would go out. We went to Fred and Jack's several times. I mean, literally went out to their junkyard and pulled out stuff off the car. Relays and things like that. So our first robots were pretty, I mean, we could boast that they cost us 20 cents or something. But the ones that were competing with us they have $100,000.
They have a budget,
yeah, and we were doing pretty good. And that's one thing that the Air Force, they were kind of impressed with that. And so he said, well, what could you do with a little bit of money? Right. And so they bought sophisticated computers, the LMSs, of course. We bought a camera. Obviously, they don't have the rear LMS on right now. But they bought a camera and a GPS unit. The GPS unit itself is about, well, normally it's about $3,000. You got it.
every summer. Doing good. How are you? That's awesome.
So first thing, and I do that. So I'll ask you, are you willing to sponsor us? If we start winning,
that was before I got started.
they'll say,
And it's not that it got worse, but what they make the car fit harder. And we had some bad luck. Power
Responding to lines here. Yeah. What is the purpose of the GPS?
okay, that's a good question. Actually, we are currently using GPS in that course, but only as a secondary thing, and that is we don't want it to turn around. So if it's going through a course and it gets tangled up because there's a lot of objects, if you don't know, you can actually turn around and say, oh, there's a way that way. And you go back and
backtrack now.
Okay, now, but there's another competition. This thing is a navigation competition.
And right now, if the road is clear,
for example, if I knew the latitude and longitude of that, the end of that parking lot over there, we could tell that robot
for a different purpose.
Yeah, for a different purpose. And it does that very well.
In the seeking in the tunnels and the caves that you were talking about, yeah. I would think the
GPS won't work. It won't work. It will not work.
So it's got to be just.
It's got to be all right. So once it enters a cave, it's got to be autonomous. I mean, autonomous without GPS. And then so it just basically finds a path. There's a hole here. Let me go down there. There's a hole here. Right. Now you may have prior knowledge too. You may have, okay, I know a map of this cave, or maybe I know part of a map of this cave, so you can always put that in.
You know, really surprised.
It's really not. Well, you know what, Lee? I was thinking. Are you still the? What were you then? Were you the? You were the governor. Okay. You're not that either. I might actually want to tell him that. He's probably going to panic and but I'm not sure. But what I was thinking is, as a possibility, I may get up there for 5 minutes and talk about.